refers to the three major philosophical founding fathers, namely Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. At the hands of these learned philosophers, ancient Greek philosophy achieved its pinnacle. Since then, philosophy has been immensely indebted to their tenets, even if others regard them as only a footnote. Good day, everyone. We are Group 1, and we are here to discuss the topic assigned to us by Professor. The title of this topic, The Self from the Perspective of Various Philosophers. First, allow me to introduce you to the reporters covering to this topic, namely John Paul Judaya, Arvie Abajar, Rhenan Rosal Sarmiento, Jules Punay, Justin Caseserano, Cedrick Bongato, Faupel Dechan Filipinas, Andrie Mondigo. So, we'll start with the Greek ancient philosophers.
The three great Greek triumvirates Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, world-renowned classical Greek philosophers. The trio of Plato, Socrates, which is his teacher, and Aristotle, which is his student, laid the fundamental ideas of Western philosophy.
The following are discussions of different perspectives and understanding of the self, according to its prime movers. First, Socrates. Socrates believed that the self exists in two parts. One part is the physical, tangible aspect of us. This is the part that is mortal and can be or is constantly changing. Earth also belongs to this physical realm that our bodies belong in, because just as us in terms of physicality, the earth is constantly being modified. The second part is the soul, which he believed to be immortal. The soul is the part is unvarying across all realms. It is unchanging while it is attached to your body and thus in the physical realm. But is also unmodified once you die and your soul leaves the body to travel to the ideal realm. To expand on this slightly, Socrates believed that when we are in the physical realm, we are alive and our body and soul are attached. Therefore, making both parts of ourselves present in the physical realm. When we die, however, our body stays in the physical realm while our soul travels to the ideal realm. Therefore, making our soul immortal, he is famous for these sayings. The true task of the philosopher is know oneself, and the unexamined life is not worth living. Examining oneself is the most important task one can undertake, for it alone will give us the knowledge necessary to answer the question, how should I live my life? As Socrates explained, once we know ourselves, we may learn how to care for ourselves, but otherwise, universal. When we turn our gaze inward in search of self-knowledge, Socrates thought we would soon discover our true nature. At contrary to the opinion of the masses, one's true self, according to Socrates, is not to be identified what we own with our social status, our reputation, or even with our body. Instead, Socrates famously maintained that our true self is our soul. To summarize this idea, it is useful to express in it a simple formula. Knowledge equals virtue equals happiness. When we arrive at knowledge of virtue, we will become virtuous. For example, we will make our souls good and beautiful, and we perfect our souls will attain true happiness. That's all. Thank you.
Plato is an ancient Greek philosopher, a student of Socrates and the teacher of Aristotle. According to Plato, the soul or self is a metaphysical principle or the origin of all moving things, and as such, it is unreachable by the ordinary mind. Plato supported the idea that man is composed of a body and soul. He stated that the soul really is an entity distinct from the body. Thus, Plato believes that the soul is just residing in the body temporarily, which it can also be separated. Its union with the body is called birth, and its separation from it is death. Indeed, for Plato, the self have the three coexistent aspects of the soul, from which you can understand your own desires and behaviors. Plato argues that the soul or the self comprises of three parts, namely, the appetitive, spirited, and rational aspects. Appetitive is which is likely to desire whether good or bad. Spirited is what drives us to do things or our courage to do things, while rational is the mind or wisdom. Plato also said that the mind has the right and should rule over appetitive and spirited aspects because it is the thinking element in every human being and intelligently makes sensible decisions. In summary, Plato's perspective about self is the soul, or what he called the psyche. Therefore, the soul not only survives after death, but also exists before birth. And that's it for Plato. Thank you and God.
Aristotle. The self of the human person is a composite of the body and soul that the two are inseparable. The soul is the form of the body, the structure of the human body which allows a human to perform activities of life such as thinking, imagining, and perceiving. The body serves as matter of the soul. The self is a soul force formed into a conscious awareness of itself. It develops out of necessity metaphysical mental awareness. The self is a unified creature, is essential body and soul. Aristotle's philosophical speculation of self exists as a process of hylomorphism, in which self holds two realms of existence, which is physical realm and metaphysical realm. Physical realm, the self assumes pragmatic earthly functions such as senses, experiences, lacking conscious awareness, not yet discovering the self-soul, sense perceptions, sense impressions, and sense opinions of earthly reality. Last, metaphysical realm, which of Aristotle existed as the entelechy, vital force, or soul of the self's ability to actually access itself. Thank you.
Next is medieval philosophy. There are some philosophy in medieval including Augustine, Saint Augustine of Hippo, and Anthony de Mello. The medieval period of philosophy could rightfully be called the Christian era of philosophy. Most of the European continent are parts of the Middle East were ruled by the church, and philosophy became an attempt to understand Christianity. Thus, the goal of the medieval philosophy became that of fitting the rational truths and philosophy into the dogmatic truths of Christianity, and thus make it all the more powerful, or this powerful influence of Christianity over philosophy would be present from this time, the 4th century, until the postmodern period of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when philosophy sees its first vocal aesthetic movements.
Augustine of Hippo, also known as Saint Augustine, was an influential member of the early Christian church, establishing many doctrines of the Christian faith. One of his most significant contributions to Christianity was a Christian philosophy of history. Augustine defined the purpose of his history as God providing salvation to humanity after the fall of Adam. This salvation is achieved through a conflict between two cities of people, the earthly city and the city of God, which are defined by two separate loves. The earthly citizens love themselves more than God, while the citizens in the city of God love God more than themselves. Salvation is ultimately provided to the predestined citizens of the city of God. In the final judgment, while citizens of the earthly city are damned to eternal punishment in a pit of fire. This philosophy of history broke with the classical tradition history, which believed that history was cyclic, repeating continuously for all eternity. Augustine defined history as having a distinct beginning and end, through which God worked to provide salvation to humanity. Augustine is a man who is a philosopher in the original etymological sense, a lover of wisdom, one who is searching for
rather than one who writes as if he has found it and is now presenting it to us in systematic argumentative form.
Anthony de Mello. He was an Indian Jesuit priest and a psychologist as well as a spiritual teacher, writer, and a public speaker. According to de Mello, all of reality is constantly moving as a child. You watch and observe more what's going on around you within you. You notice the ladybug flying from the wall towards the window. You make mistakes, you fall, and all will happen in the moment, without fear. You react as it happens. You don't expect anything yet. Anthony de Mello describes multiple ways to wake up, like to admit to yourself that change is necessary, be open to discover something new, learn that things come and go, say no to people if it clashes with the life you want.